me off so much just to see, like, and we saw the same thing with the whole R. Kelly thing. It's like, because it's Black women, nobody cares. Because it's Black women, you gotta be done did something or said something. And it frustrates me how just because as Black women, we naturally have a voice, we are naturally powerful, we naturally have this presence that exudes from us, somehow we're angry. Somehow we're aggressive or whatever.
The mad Black woman trope.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, my thing is, what people have to understand is our ancestry is different from the people who brought us here. And
What's up, y'all? Before we continue, I gotta tell y'all about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. The creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor also distributes your podcast for you, so Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms have access to it. And guess what? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's the one-stop shop for podcasts. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Now let's get back to these hot takes. We're gonna get this thing started. Before we actually get into any of the material we have planned for tonight, I just think it's really cool that we introduce ourselves and even just kind of talk about how this journey has happened, because this is legitimately been a long time in the coming. We've been working on this for a minute. I want to say our first conversation about some form of podcast was 2015, 2016-ish. It's been a 4 or 5 year journey. So I just think it's really cool because just a little bit, I'll go briefly on our background. We met, we worked together, and we worked in really interesting, the food service environment. And we had a blast working together, but we just really kicked off and sparked this unique friendship that I think was really unexpected. I think for both of us, it was just, I don't think we expected to become as good friends as we became, as quickly as we became friends.
Yeah, because you didn't invite me to your house when you were inviting everybody else. This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't pressed you.
I did not think you liked me for real at first. Let me tell you, I didn't because I was so I've come to learn now that your picking and teasing is one of your love languages. Yes. I did not know that before, but I know that now. And so I was just this girl gives me the hardest time. I don't think she likes me, but that one day we hung out and you came over and it was just it sealed the deal. Everything, it sealed the deal. So I really thought it would be cool that we just talked a little bit about what our individual voices are because, of course they will develop as this develops, whatever it is, this untitled project we have. But I just thought it would be just a couple words about who you are and what you think is important to the core of who you are.
Oh, that's changed during this growth journey that I've been on. I think at this point, the core of who I've kind of become, I've kind of phased out of certain things, getting a little bit older and kind of what's important to me and what's not. When you met me, I was all acting dreams and all of that, turn up dreams. But I really, especially with the way things are now, it's gotten to a point where it's you can't even be on BS like that no more. So for me, the core for me is all about touching Black people, getting Black people to wake up to who we are, to know who we are, to love who we are, and especially women. For me, it's all about, like you said, my love language is jokes and doing all that. But for me, sometimes people mistake power in Black women as anger or combativeness, but we are naturally, we were queens in Africa. We weren't submissive. We spoke up. We had voices, So for me, it's all about getting that voice out there, making sure we're using our voices, making sure we're educating ourselves.
Exactly. And I think we kind of skipped over something. What's your name for everybody?
It's on the screen.
I mean, yes, on the screen, but like
I'm
it
D.
D. I want them to know I'm gonna be calling you D and I'm
Yes.
J.
Yes. And it's not
But
planned. You're really J.
it's yeah. It's just J. That's it. Jay. That's it. But I think that's really important what you said. Because I connect that even to a part of who I am. Over the years, I've definitely transformed as a being, I could say, to put it artistically. I think before I was a little, what I would say, maybe nearsighted in life. I didn't really see the big picture, and many times I refer to what I call the big picture, but I didn't see the big picture. I didn't see things from a whole perspective. And so now, like, part of my voice is just really being honest. It's honest and giving my honest opinion, or really just giving a different perspective, because many times I look at the two of us, we're kind of anomalies, especially in like our culture, in our community. We don't look like what people would say is typical of anybody in any culture, but especially what you would think, like if you were to draw a random Black person out of the bag, you would not think that they would look, be, and act like either of the two of us.
Right.
And I think that's something that's really important as to why we're here. But I think what's really cool is what we aim to do is, like, our conversations are going to range everywhere from, politics to spirituality to health to, like, even pop culture. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place as things develop in life. But I just think it's cool because we represent a bigger community, but at the same time, we're just such unique individuals that it's going to be a fun journey. It's going to be a fun journey. So I think one thing that I really wanted us to start with that I thought would be really cool and fun is to just really start with some new music. I know there was an artist that you wanted to introduce me to that I haven't heard of yet.
Yes.
So give me like a little rundown on this artist.
Okay, so her name is Diana. She used to be, because she does YouTube too, and she used to be on YouTube as Tootsie. I don't know if you've ever seen Tootsie Time before, but she's a UK artist, and her sound is very, like, it's 90s, but it's like refreshing. It's like 90s, but up to date. I love it. She has like the tomboy style, and a 90s tomboy girl is after my heart, because that's me, you know what I'm saying?
Come on, 90s.
But literally,
exactly.
Like, hello.
Exactly.
And like, when I tell you, it's so hard to find artists where you can just put their album on and just play the album. And I don't know if you saw when I used to do like my Traffic concerts, but a lot of my Traffic concerts, I would do some of her songs, because literally every album and EP she has put out, nothing disappoints. I can literally play them all the way through. So definitely do yourself a favor. Her name is Diana, Daina. And she's a UK artist, but she's so dope, and multi-talented, because she even put out like a drill song. And it's like, who's out here singing, doing R&B, and then giving you drill songs and giving you bars? Like, come on.
Okay. Well,
she
come
can dance,
through.
like dance,
and she can
not
dance.
like
so
twerk,
we're
like
talking triple threat.
dance.
We're talking about somebody who's like about to come in and change the game.
And
so,
not even just triple threat. She designs clothes. She does nails. She's dope. She's dope, for real, for real.
Okay, so Renaissance woman, yes, Diana.
Yes,
and is that
Black
I said that right?
Woman. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, of course, nothing but the best.
Right.
Well, as you know, music is like one of my absolute passions. Like, I love music. I'm a singer-songwriter. Like, music to me is like oxygen. It's like water. Oh, stop it. But there's a couple artists that I've just really been like excited about in the R&B realm, because R&B has been suffering a little bit. I want to say, like, there's been like a little age of like drought in the R&B realm.
Yes.
But in this past year, during this COVID time, we've gotten some beautiful music. So the first project, Duran Bernard, I don't know if you've ever listened to him. This guy used to do these great covers on YouTube, and then he just really started to develop as an artist. I know he ended up like singing background for Erykah Badu.
Is he from Philly?
Maybe, I believe so.
I believe he's on I don't know if you've ever seen the Scorpion Show, but I feel like I saw him on there. I think he's friends with them.
And he's like really close with like Ari Lennox. Like, they've sang together for years.
Yeah, he might be
since before she blew up. So I just think it's like really cool.
I knew about her before she blew up. She had this song I saw on YouTube called Cascade. Loved it.
So that's kind of how I feel about Duran, because like he's like on the up and up right now. He's been, I think, he was on her last project when she did the remixes, and now she's on his project, and this one is called Duran, and his name is Durand, and so the name of the album is Dur ampersand. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like it's his self-titled album, but it's such a unique project, and his vocals. I mean, I love him because I think that we're very close vocally in like our range, and the fact that he goes from very low, like the bottom of his range, to like some crazy high notes. I mean, the dude just about whistles, but like he is, I think, a very unique voice, and then the music that he gives touches a lot of different like genres and a lot of different eras and decades. And then of course I got to cover like two of my favorites. So super quick, Jasmine Sullivan. If you haven't heard her single Lost One, you're asleep. Whoever's out there just has been living under this rock during this pandemic, and you haven't heard this song Lost One, and you haven't heard the live version, you're absolutely asleep. You got to check it out. I mean, she's had vocals forever, but like this is such a unique sound for her. When I first heard it, it really gave me like Frank vibes. It was something about like the way she was vocalizing. I wasn't entirely expecting it, because it was really like picking up off of that Insecure vibe that she did, but it's beautiful. Like you've got to check it out. Like it's gonna give you your life.
I love a good Jasmine Sullivan. When she does give me something.
when she does.
She don't,
and
like
that's my thing. I'm hoping she's back for a minute. So speaking of someone who's been gone for a minute, the last project I wanted to talk about was Brandy.
Yes,
so
mother.
Like I said, R&B has been having this great moment, but Brandy came through with B7.
Listen.
And this was pure emotion. It was beautiful. Hands down, beginning to end. I absolutely loved it. There's so many bops off of that album. The lyrics are out of this world. Like, so like B7, you got it. Like, you just got to binge it. It's that good. Like, it's that good. I know there were for a couple days I couldn't not listen to B7, like, so.
And I love that like, she's using her range and singing, because in the beginning she wasn't giving us what she could really do. Now
Whitney was like, "What you doing?" Whitney was like, "What are you doing?"
Sing down there.
You don't sing down there. Whitney got her together.
Sing down there.
She's like, And Brandy, she came with vocals, she came with range, and then she came with versatility. Like she rapped. And she like when she rapped, I did not know it was Brandy. I thought it was a feature, and I had to go back and be like, "Oh no, that was Brandy. The feature was the hook, not the rap." So I thought that was cool. But that's been my little R&B spotlight, because finally we're getting some more good music out of R&B.
Right.
I mean, it feels great that it's not just like Ari Lennox having a whole R&B up on her own, by her own, in her lonesome, or the few artists who are giving us, a little bit of R&B, or claiming that they're giving us R&B. Right. Okay.
Do you listen to Division?
I love Division.
Yes. His new album
vocals.
That he put out.
So I haven't heard the new album. It's on my list. I'm writing it down. Oh my God. Right now. Like, Division's new album.
Oh my God. The bop.
Like,
the
absolutely.
Bops.
Okay. So that's what I'm listening to tomorrow. Have you seen anything good like on TV? Like, what's on your watch list like right now? Any new shows?
So I've been kind of bouncing between documentaries and like comedy shows. So the show on Netflix, Schitt's Creek, so freaking funny. I randomly, how like you randomly find those little white sitcoms?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
See what they talking about.
See what they talk about. Exactly.
Funny. So funny. And then Ozark is really good. Okay. Love Ozark. But I like stuff that has like a lot of seasons, so I could like really binge it. Schitt's Creek has like 6 seasons. But that one's really, really good. Basically, that one's about this family. The dad like owned a bunch of businesses and stuff, and whatever happened, like the investments and stuff fell through. They lost all their money, so they had to move. He had bought a town like
that. Like town, yeah, okay, yeah.
And so they ended up having to move there, living in this hotel. And I didn't expect to really enjoy it, because I'm like, they comedy can be, you never know.
Oh yeah.
Usually if it's Jason Bateman, I'll watch it, but or like Steve Carell, but other than that, I don't know. Yes, but it's actually really good. It's funny too. It's really funny.
Okay, so Schitt's Creek and Ozark. I have to check those out. So I've been kind of like on my dark show moment lately. So I've been watching a couple documentaries. I just watched, I think it's called Murder Next Door. It was the Shanann and Chris Watts story. Oh my goodness. So I remember when that story broke, and because there was a clip on like YouTube that was circulating from when they were recording it, and they like the moment it was something like the moment Chris Watts knew he was, we knew Chris Watts was guilty or something like that. And I'd seen that like months and months ago. I had no idea it was going to become like a full-fledged documentary.
Right.
But that was good. Like it was a good like short, just
I haven't finished
1 hour 20 minutes, hour 30 40 minutes, something like that. It's pretty good. I'll let you finish it. But
I love good murder mystery. You know what I'm saying? The forensic scientist in me be like,
let me tell you, you'll love this. Then I binged one day. I was like cleaning up my room, and I was off, and I binged Nurse Ratched on Netflix. And I'm a pretty big like Sarah Paulson fan. I've liked a lot of what she's been in. She like has rarely done anything with her in it. I mean, like, she's our Adele doppelganger. Like, I will watch anything that she's in, because if you can play two-headed, if you can play the Supreme, I can watch anything that you have to do. I'm all for it. But like the role that she plays, and it's I mean, I will say that it does kind of follow the Ryan Murphy formula, because he, his American Horror Stories and the typical things that he does. He has a kind of Scream Queens and like Glee. He has a structure that he does. Right. So like this type of format, you'll see that Ryan Murphy format in it, but it's good, and I'm excited for it to get a second season, because it ended like there's going to be a second season. So I'm looking forward to that.
Where's the new season of Pose? Where's that?
Come on now.
I need Pose.
I need like Pose. I need Dear White People, because that gives me my life.
I binge watched that during the quarantine because I had never got into it. And Brittany loved it, but I had never really got into it. I'm like, let me just, I didn't know if I was gonna like it. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't know if I was gonna like it. I was like, let me see. Now, I'm not gonna lie. What's the main character? What's her name? She gets on my nerves. Regardless, she gets on my nerves. Like, her name is irrelevant. She gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
I don't like her. I'm sorry. I could not.
She is a little aggravating. She is definitely aggravating. But I just think, it's a cool cast. That's a cool cast. They've got like a very diverse, and I think what's beautiful about it is it's I like diverse cast of Black people. Like, they're diversely written characters. So you've got the nerd, you've got like the super bougie, like you've got everything in between, and I think that's great. The scholar and the one who's like the legacy. Like, so I think that's really cool about that show. So I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, because this is like kind of on topic, but I was gonna ask, did you see what was like going on in the media about like Kenya Barris when Mixed-ish came out?
So no, I actually didn't.
Okay, so and I watched Mixed-ish because I like Blackish. Personally, I like it. I know some people feel how they feel.
I like Blackish. I like Blackish. I like Grownish.
Exactly. I kind of like Grownish too. I haven't finished Grownish, but I watch it. I'm not gonna lie. But people were upset because we're dark skinned. This is why I want to
ask. Okay, of course.
This will be an unbiased kind of opinion. So people were kind of upset about the fact. Basically, he did the show Mixed-ish based off of his family, and he's a lighter skinned guy. His wife is very, very. I think his wife is mixed, maybe. And so the family looked like his family, and people were so upset because they felt like, oh, why is there only like one kind of brown skinned girl and everybody else is light skinned? So when you see things that are predominantly Black, do you look for dark skinned people specifically? And are you offended if you don't see them?
So that's why I was going to say yes and no, because I think for me personally, growing up, I had a hard time accepting being chocolate. Like, I would hear the compliments, but I also hear the snide remarks like, oh, he's a dark one. Or like, I'd get the Black jokes. So I had a hard time accepting like and loving my Blackness. But going through that also helped me as I watched like shows, and I realized that most dark people were vilified. Like we're the evil character, or like we're the one who's taking somebody's man or woman, or we're ruining houses and killing folks. And like we were always just made to be the bad guy. So for me, yes, I do sometimes have the expectation in Black productions to see dark-skinned people, but I expect to see them in a negative light in most cases, which kind of frustrates me because that's usually not the case. Right. And then I say no because at the same time, I still feel like colorism is a big issue that the community has to talk about. So we'll see these Black projects come out and there'll be a range, but they won't be the darkest of darks. Like we'll get like a nice medium caramel and up. Like, you know, like, and we'll get paper bag passing it up. Right. And I think that's still not representative, like a full representation of what, you know, the diaspora looks like. Like we don't all just, you know, those aren't just the shades of us that are acceptable, that are beautiful. Like we're everywhere. Like look at Lupita, like look at Naomi, like come on now. Look at Idris, like come on now. Like
for me, it's kind of like I be struggling because I kind of start to see it different. Like I was watching the first season of America's Next Top Model yesterday, just because I had watched an interview with the girl Ebony. I don't know if you remember Ebony, but she was a very, very dark skinned girl with a bald head. And so she had did an interview with Oliver Twist, and she was talking about how
Love Oliver.
Right, she was talking about how like on the show, they were mentioning her skin a lot, saying like her skin was rough or she needs to work on her skin. And she was like, in 2003 in New York, you can't go to Rite Aid and get you no shea butter or nothing. Just all they had was like Vaseline and like some Jergens or something. And she like, for me, that doesn't work. And so when I was watching the show, when I first saw it, I was like 9 or 10 years old. So I didn't pick up on any of the nuances. But when I watched it back, and even the verbiage they were using with her, like the white girl, she's edgy. But with her, they're like, oh, she's harsh. She's aggressive. She seems angry. Oh, your skin is rough. Like, and it's just like, and it was so crazy because it's like, you don't even, if you're not aware of it, you don't pick up on it. You don't
that is the truth.
And it was so disappointing to watch it back because it's like for a Black woman to create that platform,
create the show,
and for you to be trying to bring us in, to even allow not only you use the verbiage, but to allow your judges to speak that way about. And she was like, oh, if for her to be an African American woman, her skin should be like butter. Girl, we don't all have good skin. We got regular skin.
Come on now.
It takes more for our skin, you know what I'm saying? We can't use it. Because Ebony was explaining how she was there for months, and she's like, once I ran out of my products, I had to use what was in there, and that's
what was
not
there.
And it's like for Tyra as a Black woman to know, you should know these things. Why would you bring that like that? If anything, I would at least be like, pull her to the. She was saying behind the scenes, she asked Tyra, like, because she's from New York, so she was like, can I just go over to Harlem, get what I need for me, and then we could. But they was not trying to hear it. And I feel like for them to even put that narrative out there, and like Kimora kept using words like, even in her pictures were beautiful, but yet they're like, oh, but she looks so harsh. She looks so rough around the edges. And it's like, but a white girl does it and she's edgy. And it's like, well, why can't she be edgy? They got the same harshness or whatever the case. Like, it's like a mind.
And you know, like we're gonna have to like take a whole episode one day and dive into America's Next Top Model, because I did some like rewatching a couple weeks ago, and the show is extreme. And we're gonna have to talk about the Black shows that came out in the 90s and early 2000s of our community that were problematic, because we've got to talk about girlfriends. We've got to talk about things that were we've got to talk about some issues on the Parkers. Like we've got to talk about things that happen on shows that we love, that we grew up with, because there's some messages and some imagery that went out to us growing up, to those that are our ages and younger than us and a little bit older than us, that have had impacts, like for sure, on how we view ourselves, how the world views us. Like
Very that.
It's a huge conversation when we really get into talking about, and I think it's actually the perfect segue when we're talking about how they were like really vilifying her, because that's something we see with Black women in general. And I mean, let's talk about Megan Thee Stallion and what's going on with her, because I think it's absolutely heartbreaking to know that this Black woman, who not only is just a 25-year-old college student who has happened to have talent,
you froze.
And actually build status and build celebrity and build. Oh, sorry.
You're back. You're back.
Ooh, am I back? Okay. But I was on a rant too. But like, she's built all of this for herself, and to still go through this and be, faced with a ton of opposition, a ton of skepticism, a ton of disbelief, a ton of people like conspiracy theorists saying she's tied into it. It blows my mind. Like, I know you've got to have a hot take on this, because this is crazy. Like, this is ridiculous. What do Black women have to do to be believed, to be protected?
I have the hottest take on this. Let me first start by saying the fact that she, in the moment of the situation, her first thought was to protect the Black man, because she knew, despite what he did to her, what could happen to her. That alone, because let's be clear, not many people would have had, if you just got shot by somebody, your first mind is not going to be, let me protect this Black man.
Let me protect it. Come on now.
Did me. Now, maybe in the moment, like when we first got pulled over, if I knew there was a gun in the car, I would have immediately at the hospital been like, hey, by the way, tell 5 he shot me.
It was him.
And all of a sudden, first it was like, people started out with, oh, why is she not saying nothing? Because she didn't say anything. And my thing is, if she was gonna lie, the first thing she would have did was called his name. That would have been the first thing she did. If you were gonna create this narrative, she wouldn't have kept quiet. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then on top of that, when she tells her story after we begged for it, now she a snitch.
Come on now.
She's not from the streets. She is not a gangster. You can't be a snitch if you just a regular pedestrian and a crime was committed against you. You're not a snitch. You're reporting a crime that was committed against you. Like,
she's a survivor. That's what she is. Because it could have been so much worse.
Exactly. That's like if somebody break in my house and they be like, why you snitch on him? He broke in my house. What are you talking about?
Like, exactly. No, like,
are you kidding? It's not a street thing. They're not in a gang where it's a spoken code. If I shoot you, you can't say nothing. She's a pedestrian. She's a regular girl. She's not none of that. She's not affiliated with none of that. So it's like, for people to even say she was snitching and then to say that she's lying. And the way people were, they keep saying, oh, she's a big girl. What does that have to do? It's not her
with
fault
anything.
That Tory Lanez is the size of a Snickers bar. That's not her problem. That is not her problem. And her being a quote unquote big girl, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with a gun? I ain't never seen a gun that a big girl could stop.
That a big come on now.
Let me know so I can gain some weight. Like,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It pisses me off so much just to see, like, and we saw the same thing with the whole R. Kelly thing. It's like, because it's Black women, nobody cares. Because it's Black women, you gotta be done did something or said something. And it frustrates me how just because as Black women, we naturally have a voice, we are naturally powerful, we naturally have this presence that exudes from us, somehow we're angry. Somehow we're aggressive or whatever.
The mad Black woman trope.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, my thing is, what people have to understand is our ancestry is different from the people who brought us here. In their country, because they're not from here, let's be clear. So in their country, over in Europe, the women didn't have voices. Women didn't do it. Unless she was Queen Elizabeth, she was the only one with a voice. She really didn't have a voice herself. You know what I'm saying? We didn't even go get to what she had to do to get her voice. But it's like, for us in Africa, you can point to countless women who were queens, who ran countries.
Who
had even with like when people talk about polygamy and stuff, like these queens they were rich enough to have multiple husbands. You know what I'm saying? And so we naturally come from people who are powerful. We can't help that. We cannot help that. And we should not have to be suppressed to make some man, because that's I'm using that very loosely, some man feel like he's important, or to make white people feel like we're not dangerous. I'm not gonna not have a voice so that you can feel safe. Like, what does that even mean?
Exactly.
Like, and what was she supposed to do in the situation? Like, what would have been the right thing for her to do? Me personally, I feel like because she didn't say nothing at first, she should just not say that. She should just not even gave people any ammunition to even run with. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And I really feel for her, because if you really look at it from a different perspective, she don't have nobody.
She doesn't. You know she's by herself.
Nobody. And it's like she's bringing these people in because she wants to feel that love. And then here you go with little whoever that is over here doing what he got going on. It's like, and now she's the problem. Now she's the aggressor. Oh, she must have did something. Like, even if she did argue with him, you gonna shoot her in the foot while she walking away? She was walking away.
While she's walking away. Exactly.
And that's the key, walking away. And I'm so sick of people being like, first it was he wasn't convicted, so he must not have did it. Now he convicted it. Oh, I need more evidence. The detectives don't even get all the evidence. That's the whole point of committing a crime, is to not leave evidence behind. What more do you need? Do you want me to mail you the bullets? Like,
I heard a quote, and what's crazy is, typically in situations like this, the biggest critic of Black women, the two biggest critics are usually Black men and other Black women. Typically, those are the loudest voices. And I was listening to Jamel Hill's podcast, which I love, by the way, but I was listening to her podcast, and she made a statement. I think she was quoting something that she'd heard, and this quote was, "Straight Black men are the white men of the Black community." And it really left me with a lot of question marks over my head, because I definitely won't agree with the generalization, but I will agree with some truth in that statement, because in situations like this, the only thing Megan should have gotten from the Black community was support and love. That's the only thing she should have gotten from. Like, and she got that from a lot of big voices, but just as many voices that were giving her love were giving her this crap. And what I will say is, although she reacted the way she did in protecting him and then in waiting to speak, I think what she's done with her platform now is so beautiful and so powerful, because, like her video essay with the New York Times, like really speaking on protect Black women and how important it is, like, to protect Black women. And
of course they found something wrong with that.
Of course. I mean, of course. But even like, I think it was even brilliant when she did her SNL performance last week. And or it was a week before this was videoed, because we don't know when this is gonna air, but but when she did that performance at SNL, she did Savage. It was phenomenal. She did great. I mean, I love the energy she brings. I've never been a big Megan Thee Stallion listener, but like, I've watched a lot of her live performances, and she brings phenomenal energy to the stage.
She does.
And her backdrop said "Protect Black Women," which was amazing. And she used that stage as a moment to call out the Attorney General in Louisville or in Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, about the Breonna Taylor case. And I think that was remarkable, because there's so few people there. I mean, who knows what kind of impact that will have on her career. I think that she'll be fine. But, there's so many cases of Black women whose careers were destroyed because they spoke out, or because they got to a point where they're like, enough is enough. And I'm just hoping that she's protected enough that she can still continue on with her career, continue on like with her platform, because as much as, we grew up in a bit of a different era, and even like the music that we grew up with and the music that we love is what it is. But I think for this specific generation growing up, she is such a big role model for the generation behind us, Gen Z. And I think it's important that she continues to, make music and she continues to speak out, because having someone who's been through this mess, who is public and who's out front and who's out there, you know, like in the trenches, I think that's extremely important to these type of causes. Like, yeah.
Speaking of, let me get your opinion on the WAP backlash.
Oh my gosh. I was hoping you weren't going to ask me about WAP.
I just want to know from a male perspective.
Okay.
What's your thoughts? Do you feel like they took the culture back? Do you feel like it was as big a deal as people have made it to be?
So, this is my thing. I typically don't listen to music that is extremely vulgar. That's just like a personal preference. Mm-hmm. It just does nothing for me, and sometimes I walk.
I don't think you're used to it either. You didn't kind of grow up with that.
I didn't grow up with it either. I mean, like, to a certain degree, I did like popular radio. If I was in like the car with my sister, I would catch certain things. Yeah. But like, it just has never been, like you said, a part of like my upbringing or the fiber of who I am. And so like, when I saw the video, I was impressed, for one, because it was, I thought, a good video.
Thank you.
As far as like the cinematography and like the creativity, the outfits, like the fashion, the choreography. Yes. I thought that was brilliant. But I do have a couple criticisms. My biggest criticism being, I'll do my smallest criticism first. For me, I think that because these are two of the biggest names in music and the biggest Black female names in music, I think it is important that sometimes, I'm not saying that they change who they are at their core. I do think it's important that sometimes they release music that can be played without having to be censored so much.
Okay.
Because, I mean, just because like, I feel that like popular radio, I just think that this song, I like the beat. But what I will say is, when I watched the video, the one image I was left with was Kylie Jenner walking. And
that's
the reason, and I'm gonna explain why, because it upset me. It upset me because I watched someone's reaction to the video, and I was just like, why does this Kylie keep sticking in my head? So I was like watching some of the people that I watch on YouTube, their reactions to the video, and one person was like, did you notice that in the rooms, all of the rooms were Black women or women of color? They were, you know, the ladies of the night. You know, they were the women behind the door. But Kylie was not. Kylie was not a working girl. Her character was not a working girl. And I think for me, it was a little off-putting that the one white person in the video is like the madam. And I
don't even think that moment was needed, to be honest.
I would have liked the video so much more without it, and it would have just been one of my like guilty pleasures. But every time I watch the video and I see Kylie, I've watched the video twice and I just can't keep looking at her. Like, that's the part that I get to, and I'm just like over it. Like, I'm done, and I'm just like, I don't want to see. I don't like. Oh, and you know, she's tied. I hate to go back to the Megan situation, but she is tied to this situation at the beginning. You know, that's where they were. And there's no telling what happened. I'm not saying that she had anything to do with the situation or even insinuating that. But I'm just one of those people who says, you know, like, maybe people should keep a little distance from the Kardashian-Jenner tribe.
There's a lot going on.
Just saying. Because Kanye was fine for a minute, and then he wasn't. I think that was all Kanye, though. Honestly, I think that was all Kanye.
Can we talk about that?
I think we've got some time to at least start to scratch the Kanye surface, because that's a series. That is a series.
I'll just say this. As somebody who was such a big Kanye fan in the beginning.
You're a huge fan. Huge fan.
Like,
you're a huge fan.
Broke Fi Broke. Like, I was a part of the fraternity. I was in Broke Fi Broke right along with him. Like, I felt it. I dropped out of college. My third year. You know what I'm saying? But to see him become the people he rapped about is so saddening. And it's like, I can't even watch stuff with him anymore, especially knowing that his mind is not even where it needs to be. And I feel for him, because I feel like to be honest, I don't feel like Kanye's been the same since his mom passed away.
Exactly. That's what
And
I
I
was
tell
gonna
people
say.
all the time, like, Kanye needs like a good motherly hug. Like, y'all need to come scoop him up in her
And scoop
bosoms.
him up, right, and hold him there, or maybe put his face in some dirt.
Put him
I
in
don't
a
know what
hole
she
or
needs to,
something.
right? Dig him a hole and connect him to the motherland. I don't know.
Like, I can't even, because even with the tweets, it's like, I can't even look. It's not funny to me like it is to other people, how they make jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
it's
can't even
so
laugh at him.
sad to see what's happening to him. And it's like, he's a genius. He's so smart.
He is a genius. He's
so
a musical
smart.
genius. Absolutely.
Not even just music though. Like, even when people, because if you look through the manic episodes and kind of really listen to some of the stuff he said in interviews, not recently, not this not presidential Kanye. I'm talking about before that. Like, even with the whole sway thing, like, if he was making points, what he was saying was real. It's just his delivery.
Oh no, absolutely with sway. Okay, yeah, back
and
then,
it's like,
absolutely, there were
he's
things,
so smart, but he needs to get help, and it's so sad to see. It's so freaking sad to see. But this presidential thing, he's pissing me off. He's pissing me off with this, because you're taking votes that we need. We need those. Stop it. I don't know who's voting for him.
My thing is, I'm gonna say, is he taking votes? I don't. Is he gonna make it on a ballot?
I saw that he was actually on the ballot.
I think I heard he was on one, but I mean, like, is he? I don't think he's gonna make it on, like, my headset's about to die. But I don't think he's gonna make it onto, like, the big, like, the actual ballot.
But it's like even those little write-ins for silly people, that's gonna hurt.
It's wasting. It is wasting votes.
You know, just like how people was voting for Harambe last time, and it's like, bro, we need those.
We did need,
even though
votes.
Technically Hillary won, but that's a whole other.
And I mean, like, we're really gonna have to, like, and I hope you guys are hearing these future conversations we're gonna be having with you all, because we really will have to get into what it is about, like, the state of the Black people, the Black community, and how we got to where we are. Like, I don't know if you've heard of the 1619 Project, but it's something I really hope to get into reading. And I know that they're doing a podcast now, and just really, like, watching that journey, because I know it was kind of touched on in 13th on Netflix, but I think this is something that's really worth, like, continued conversation as we get into, like, how really how we got
we would have to do like a whole separate thing on politics.
Oh
not
my
even
goodness.
Just this debate, just in politics in general. I have so
in general, because I mean, like, electoral college is one of the worst things we've done, but whatever. But whatever. So I know that we are, like, time is, like, winding down, but I know that we really wanted to do. I don't either. Oh, okay. We're at 40. We're at 43, 44 minutes. Okay. So I really wanted to, for my first For the Culture Black business shout out. I've got a company I've been writing with for about 12, 13 years. Small Black business. Absolutely love the products, the product line. There's a huge variety. I've actually got two of them here with me. This is my aunt's candle company. So I'm going to sit that up there so everybody can see. Okay. This is Vicky's candles. So these are two of her most popular fragrances. This one by far is one of the best sellers. It's the kudzu candle. It's a soy blend. They burn for hours. It's one of the best burning wicks, like, you've ever met. But my aunt, this is my mom's sister. She's had this company again for about 13 years, and she makes these candles herself. She also does, like, little wax melts and, like, bath bombs and all types of little things. And I want to say this is really where I got the kind of the entrepreneurial bug, is this aunt, because I would go with her on a lot of her little art shows and festivals. So as this develops, I'll be, like, really talking to you guys a little bit more about, like, what I have going on in the new business that I'm developing. So
so with that, I'm kind of cheating. I kind of have two. One's not really a business, but it's a platform that everybody Black needs to be on if you're looking for Black owned businesses.
Yes.
But the first one is actually a business. They're out of the DMV. They're 4 dark-skinned girls. It's called House of Spring Rolls. they have, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but they make their own fresh to order spring rolls. And it's for black women. They make vegan spring rolls. They have like Philly cheesesteak. They have like a strawberry shortcake, a banana pudding, jerk chicken. And they just actually got their site up where you can order the spring rolls and get them shipped out to you. But they're based in the DMV. So definitely check them out because
So what was the name of that one again? Because I like a good spring roll.
House of Spring Rolls, and you can actually on their site also donate. And what I wanted, the other thing that I wanted to bring to you, it's called Curated Equal, and they have a Kickstarter up. So they're an online marketplace for Black businesses. So basically, it's an online marketplace and platform featuring all Black-owned businesses, and you can hire and shop Black-owned. And their goal is $10,000 right now. They're at $6,648 on their Kickstarter. I don't know how to get to them directly. I got to them from another person's Instagram, but I will include the link when I find it.
So Curated
Yeah, it's called
Equal.
Curated Equal.
Okay.
It's an online marketplace for Black businesses.
We're all for Black marketplaces because I mean, what's the other? There's like We Buy Black. That's one I've been following them for years.
And
so
Shop
that's like
Black.
really cool. Yes, Shop Black. I think it's just really important that as Black people, as the Black community, and even like, you know, our white, you know, allies and accomplices, we've got to support Black businesses and small businesses and Black marketplaces, just because that's how we're going to build the Black economy. We've got to get past 6 hours, guys. We got to get past 6 hours. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. So
isn't the Jewish dollar in there for like a whole month almost?
It's like a whole month. It's like, yeah. And like, I know even in the, I want to say the Chinese community, it's longer than that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, that's not surprising.
at all. But I think it's just so sad that ours is 6 hours. I think that's very sad.
Very that.
Yes. So, in wrapping this up, are there any final things that you want to add? Any like final tidbits? Any good lucks for the next week? Like,
drink water. Yes. Stay Black. Burn your incense. Don't sleep on spirituality. Get it right, because the world is shifting, and you cannot be caught slipping right now. Look at 2020. Who knows what 2021 is going to bring? God is trying to talk to us. Okay?
Exactly.
He's saying something. And we had an opportunity to hit a reset and nobody took it.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware. Pay attention. Grow.
Exactly. I've been saying it for months now. Something is going on, and it's just so important. Be caught
slipping when it happens.
It's just so important that you be ready. What is it? Stay ready so you don't have to
gotta get ready. Okay.
Exactly. But you know, this has been great.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I'm so excited. We finally got this thing started. We got this first episode done, and I mean, like, we did it. So like, I love you, and I'm looking forward to episode number 2, and I'm looking forward to this journey continuing.